Good evening. I'm thrilled to stand before you here today for such a wonderful occasion on such a glorious New York evening and honor Ambassador Andrés Roemer. Before I get on with it, I'd like to remind you about something, namely that the American Sephardi Federation is strictly a historic research and cultural organization. We don't get involved in religious or political issues. You heard our mission from Jason earlier, preserving the history, traditions, and rich cultural heritage of the Sephardic and Mizrahi communities as an integral part of Jewish experience. We are only interested in facts and truths. Carrying out such a mission, continuously building on a foundation of true history, culture, and traditions, allows us to play a part in further adding to the better understanding of the true Jewish history and its experience, our experience. What Ambassador Roemer did surrounding the recent UNESCO votes was totally in line with our mission, bringing attention to true history, importance of and religious claims of the Jewish people to Jerusalem. Was Ambassador Roemer in a position of split loyalties between his Jewish belonging and Mexican nationality? Throughout history, there are endless examples proving the ability to show the more than one loyalty by the Jewish people. Is this a contradiction in terms? Can you really have two central loyalties? I don't think so, because before anything else, there is one central loyalty that's more important than both, and that's the loyalty of truth. That's probably the most central loyalty that the Jewish people are brought up to believe in and defend. It's proven in many ways. I'll give you just one example. In the Jewish religion, a non-Jew that lives as cleanly and perfect a life as a Jew is considered just as good as a Jew, because that's the truth. So saying that Ambassador Roemer had a little bit of a conflict of loyalty, I'm dismissing that off fact. There was no such thing. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Ambassador Roemer. Jason and I had the good fortune of having dinner with Ambassador Roemer last night, and we can firsthand confirm his reputation to you that he's truly a Renaissance man. We had the best of time. In actual fact, we were sorry the evening ended. He's full of life, humor, and endless energy, and wanting to contribute to mankind. And listen to this, he's not a politician or a civil servant. Ambassador Roemer is a lawyer, an economist, an author of many inspiring books, a playwright with 2 award-winning plays. He's a television personality leading a talk show at home in Mexico with one of the major networks. Ambassador Roemer has founded recognized think tanks in line with TED Talks, the most famous being City of Ideas. He has also served as Mexico's Consul General in San Francisco. Looking back, Andrés Roemer has a PhD in public policy from the Goldman School of Public Policy of the University of California at Berkeley, where he earned the academic distinction for his thesis regarding water public policies. He earned a master's in public administration from the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard. He specialized on cultural policies, law and economic and evolutionary psychology. He's a member of several economic, public policy and cultural organizations in the United States, Mexico, Latin America, and Europe. I could go on, but I've really made this abbreviated presentation of his background. But I want you to know something that I'm very impressed with. Is in all his degrees at Berkeley, Harvard, everywhere, he always earned them summa cum laude. Isn't that? Finally, to add to this very Jewish resume, he's the grandson of a Viennese conductor who escaped from the Nazis. And a quaint fact for us New Yorkers is that he is related to Art Buchwald, someone whom we miss greatly for his humor and great writings, amongst others in the International Herald Tribune. So I think I've proven my case to you tonight that Andrés Roemer is a true Renaissance man, They will continue to make many more contributions to the betterment of man, conveying truth as well as new creative ways of thinking. Ambassador Roemer, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the American Sephardi Federation, Jason and I, and my fellow board members that are here, I'd like to personally thank you for the very important impact you've had on the issue of the true history of Jerusalem, the claims to it by the Jewish people, but also its relevance to Christians and Muslims. You have single-handedly helped move the debate back in the right direction, influencing several countries' votes, including your own in recent past, but surely many more votes to come in the future. So please come up here and join me to receive our prestigious Lifetime Achievement Award and our heartfelt thanks for your important contribution to the Jewish people. Ambassador Roemer, the microphone is yours.
What a great moment. Let me start with the most important thing for me tonight, which is gratitude. In Germany, as well as in the United States and England, when you say thank you, you say think. Be aware of what is happening. Dankeschön comes from denk, to use your brains. You go to France and they tell you merci, to use your heart, to have misericordia, to have compassion. Actually, in the Jewish tradition, every morning when we put our tales, we use our brains, we have our heart. Then you go to Spain or Mexico or Italy and they tell you gracias. For the believers, is that you have the charisma and the grace of Hashem. For the non-believers, is that you have the charisma and the courage to stand up and to act. Then you go to Brazil or to Japan and they tell you obrigado or arigato, which means thank you for the recognition. Thank you for putting attention that there is another human being next to you. So first of all, Mr. David, Jason, Irina, all the Philos Project, the Jewish Sephardic American Association, in Spanish, in German, in English, in French, and of course, in Hebrew, Toda Rabba. Muchas gracias. We'll start with a confession. When I was the Consul General of Mexico in San Francisco, they told me, okay, Andrés, if you really want to belong to the Bay Area community, you have to go to therapy. You're Jewish, I have to go to therapy. Again, yes, you have to. After 3 years of therapy, the doctor calls me and tells me, Andrés, I have to tell you a very important thing. What could be so important? I went to the office and she told me, Andrés, it's unethical, but after 3 years, what happened after 3 years? Please tell me. I have to tell you, I do not understand your Spanish. So the point I want to start making to you is that don't see me like the Mexican, blonde, English person. But the point is to understand different languages and different personalities. And I hope that's part of what I could share today with you. And that actually reminds me a story that many years ago somebody told me, when a boy asked Hashem, for you, what does it mean, like 100 years? And he said, for me, 100 years. Well, it's like for you a second. And Hashem, for you, what does it mean to have $100 million? Well, for me, $100 million is for you like a penny. Could you please lend me a penny? Yes, please, wait a second. No? So I want to talk about tenacity and timing and effort, and more than ever now, because today I'm not only very grateful for this recognition from my heart, but it's also the celebration of 50 years of a lot of work and a lot of effort. To share you what happened to me at UNESCO, let me describe it in 6 different acts. That would be easier. Today, exactly 6 months ago, almost today, on October 15th, I was fired. I was fired as ambassador of Mexico to UNESCO. I was blamed for things that I didn't do. I was used as a tool to save the face of others. I was actually used as an scapegoat. And in fact, I became the shortest lived ambassador of any UN institution. That day was one of my saddest days in my life. My son was there, my mother was there, my fiancé was there. It was a tough day. But what happened 9 months before that, which could be my second act? Well, 9 months before that, I was invited to become the ambassador of Mexico to UNESCO. Of course, I knew what was the mission of UNESCO. Of course, I knew that the mission of UNESCO was, as a UN institution, to achieve peace. But to achieve peace through culture, through science, through communications, and through education. But much more important than education, through critical thinking. Actually, the founder of the UNESCO, Julian Huxley, the brother of Aldous Huxley and Andrew Huxley, thought that much more important than education was really to question everything. A lot of people with PhD degrees and with a lot of educated knowledge many times have encouraged and vote and follow terrible ideas. And they support people like Hitler or Stalin or Mao Zedong. And they were very well educated, but they never questioned anything. They always followed the flow. I also knew when I was accepting this important position that I was swearing under the Constitution of Mexico that I was going to protect my constitution in the Senate, and that I was going to follow the orders of the Mexican government. It's not the example or the typical case that, okay, you follow the orders and you kill somebody. No, of course not. I knew what we were talking about. I knew also that every April and every October I was going to face the challenge to receive a resolution between Israel and Palestine, and that I was going to face it. And more important, I knew for the eyes of many people that my language was his a Jew. Which means that if I give an opinion, in that particular case, my opinion could be very likely, not by anyone, not by everyone, but from some people, multiplied by 0, nullified. Why? Of course, Andrés cannot take a position in these kind of things. His father, not, but all the family members of my father's side and my mother's side, many of them, of course, not all of them, that's why I'm here, didn't survive the Holocaust. And for many people, they thought he would feel a lot of pressure by his friends. So in that particular topic, I knew that it was not going to be easy for me to give an opinion. But I never thought at that time to resign or not to resign. The question wasn't to resign. The question was, at that moment, should I accept to become the ambassador of Mexico to UNESCO? I am a very passionate person for culture and art. I am a very, very strongly promoter of science. I really love the mission of UNESCO. And I knew that part of its mandate was not to do anything related with this kind of political issues, but to actually protect the cultural heritage of everyone, of all the traditions. But I thought, if I face this kind of resolution, I think that not probably in April, but probably next October, next April or next October, I could convince, if I have the arguments, and start changing what it hasn't been done correctly. Because I knew that the last 12 times, all our history, Mexico always voted against Israel. Third act, the resolution arrived to my table. I read it very carefully. I studied it. Immediately, I became aware that that was a crime, that resolution was a crime against logic. Not only because it didn't actually talk about the truth, but the language itself was obnoxious. It didn't recognize not only the Temple of the Mount and the west part of the wall of Israel, but the language and a lot of the heritage from the Christian community. It was not correct. And this part of my story, let me stop and interrupt myself and invite you to make a small exercise. If you want, close your eyes. If you don't do it. But please, imagine yourself for a minute that you don't have any idea who you are. Imagine, please, that you don't have any idea if you're a male or a female. That you were born in the United States, in Chile, or in China. Actually, you don't have any idea if you're a Jew, or a Muslim, or a Christian, or a Buddhist, or an atheist, or an ecologist, or a vegan. You don't have any idea about you. You don't know if you come from a rich or from a poor family. The only thing you know, under this veil of ignorance, is that you're a human being. And that the only concern that you have are other human beings like you, and sentient beings, and future generations of human beings. And that's your concern. It's not about the religion, it's not about where you come from, it's not about your gender, it's about humanity. Well, exactly that state of mind is the one that I have had, I try to have, and I keep and I hope to have forever, 24/7. That's my conviction. If I have received a resolution signed only by Israel and its friends and allies for 12 times or for one time that says that all Palestinians are terrorists, I will never support it. It's much more than a religion or a political issue. It's about facts. It's about values. It's about what it is correct. It's not, I don't think so, that one country is above the other, or one temple above the other, or one tradition above the other. I strongly believe on the statement that any resolution or policy or declaration that neglects, erases, diminishes, sees any Muslim, Christian, or Jew tradition undermines the integrity of humanity as a whole. I knew at that time, and I know now, that it's not where it comes from, the point. Is that if we really want to transform society, and that's what I mentioned at UNESCO, it won't be through these kinds of resolutions that bring walls. It won't be through divisions or drones or weapons. No. The only way to really transform society for better, it will come through critical thinking, through empathy, through questions about yourself, that you don't believe everything you think. The only way actually to transform humanity will be through dangerous ideas and through ideas that do not follow the flow just to follow it, because it has been that way that it has been forever. Third act, the day of the vote. Before the day of the vote, when I received the resolution, weeks before, I talked with people members from the Jewish community, and I told them, you know, my words could be nullified. I also talked with a lot of people from the Mexican government. Most of them listened to me, some of them didn't. But at the end, I gave them all the information, and I told them, I don't know why you have been voting the way you have voted in the past. I care today because I know about this resolution, and this is wrong. And I don't care if it was for inertia, or because it is the political correct thing to do, or because in the multilateral process, if you vote for one country, probably will have in the future for your own interest the vote of all those countries on your favor. But what I can tell you, and I sent them to all of them, were 12 points explaining perfectly that this resolution wasn't correct. At that moment, I received a WhatsApp from a very important person in the government, and she told me, Andrés, I'm with the President Peña Nieto, and he went to Israel to offer his condolences because Shimon Peres passed away, and we want much more information about what's going on with this resolution. At that moment, I said, perfect. They have listened to my opinions. I was, in a way, confident. I did talk with members of the Jewish community, and I told them, you know, I'm not the ambassador of any community, I'm the ambassador of Mexico. And of course, I'm not following orders of go and kill someone. This is a geopolitical vote, where you show actually what's your position. But you have to do your part. Some of them listened to me, others didn't. I was very concerned. I talked a lot with a lot of people. And of course, I gave a speech at UNESCO before that day, explaining why this is not the mandate of UNESCO. That the real crisis of UNESCO is not a financial crisis as we think. It's an identity crisis, because it's not, and it shouldn't be, UNESCO's role to have these kind of mandates that go against peace and that provoke wars. The day of the vote, if you don't know, there are 195 countries that belong to UNESCO, but only 58 are in the Executive Council, only 58 of them vote. I prepared a speech. Israel, nor Palestine or Jordan are members of the 58 countries, so Morocco brought the Palestinian resolution to the table, and instead of inviting us to give our point of view, they say, please, we don't care about the point of view of anyone. We just go directly to the vote. That for me was a shock, because I really want to say things. I really want to talk not about Israel or Mexico, but about UNESCO and the problem of these kind of resolutions. And the fact that if we don't fight for the truth and for what is good to achieve peace, this institution this institution could die very soon. But we start voting on alphabetical order, and when it was the letter K of Kuwait, I was suffering a big dilemma. Not a dilemma, as David mentioned, between being Mexican or being Jew. Of course, it was a dilemma that I have to follow the vote of my country, but I also have to follow the vote of my convictions. And that I did everything I could to try to convince everybody to change the vote. So it was not easy, and after K, L, it came M of Mexico, and I told a collaborator, Susana Franco, who is a very professional person, and she has the credit to vote. I told her, please, I want to ask you a favor. Come, take my place. I have to stand up. I stood up. Everybody saw it. I was unable to vote for something that I don't believe in. I walked to the door. I opened it, and I hit it very hard. That was the last time I was in the executive council room. Fifth act. That day, I started living two worlds, hell and I say hyper hell. First of all, I received a very strange call from a very important person in the Mexican government, and he told me, Andrés, I don't know what happened. The president of Mexico changed his vote when he was in Israel, and he said to members of the Jewish community that Mexico was going to do the correct thing on this occasion, and nobody told you. And nobody told you. Exactly in that particular moment is when I thought I have to resign. Not before. I cannot work if they don't follow the instructions of our president. And the president knew why we have to change the vote. I know him, and he was aware of what was going on. Secondly, I started receiving terrible tweets from members, actually, from the Mexican Jewish community, that they didn't have information and they didn't know that I stood up, and that I also have a responsibility as an official ambassador. That evening, like 7 ambassadors, we went to a cafeteria named De Magon in Paris, and the ambassador of Israel came with me and he told me, Andrés, how are you? You look very depressed. For me, you're a hero. I have never seen something like that. We're not planning to resign. How come? They gave me information that the president had another kind of idea. He wrote me a letter on behalf of the government of Israel and said, please do not resign, because this would happen again and again. You're the only... There were two Jews in all the UNESCO. It's not easy to be different there, but it doesn't have anything to do with a religion. This is the correct thing, and you could be very helpful, not only for these kind of convictions, but for the UNESCO itself. At that time, I was working a lot in trying to create innovation in terms of education and disruptive ideas. I'm a professor at Faculty Associate of Singularity University, and I've been working on all these kind of things. So, at that moment, I was called. That was a Friday. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning in Paris. I received a call from the undersecretary. The first thing he told me is, Andrés, why the people of your community are so angry with you? It's pretty clear that the resolution talks about the 3 temples. I told him, that's not clear at all. You're not reading it correctly. They are denying the existence of the cultural heritage of Israel, of the temple, of the West Hall. He told me, Andrés, I have been there. I know you people treat these people. I didn't like that comment. I said, forget it. And then he asked me, please, why people from your communities coming and visiting and are coming to our office? And I told him, well, exactly, that's the question I had. I don't know why you didn't tell me that the president probably changed his vote or that he actually changed it. Seventh fact, I was invited to go to Mexico. They started leaking that I didn't follow the orders of the president. Of course, was an absolutely lie. That was chutzpah. I leaked information of how all the information came to me. I was fired. I was accused of many things that now are pretty clear that I didn't do. The new Minister of Foreign Relations knows perfectly well everything. He's a very smart person. The General Director of UNESCO thought and supported me very much. She's a deep thinker. And today where am I? Where I am with you. And that makes me feel very loved, very appreciated. I thank you very much for that. I am probably receiving an honorary ambassadorship from the own UNESCO. There are three honorary ambassadors. One is held by a survivor of the Holocaust. Probably I will work on that issue also. I'm also unemployed, so if you know of numbers. Now wait, yes, but my phone number is 1-800. Where I am? I'm in a situation that I want just to share you an idea, just for the future, because what I lived, and I'm still living, because I don't know the end of this story. It has been so hard, ups and downs. I have to thank a lot of people, my fiancé, my son, my mother, all of you. But it's very likely that you will, like I did, face those kinds of difficult questions in your lives. Questions like, speak out or be quiet. Stand by or act. Obey or disobey. Follow the flow or go against it. The way you will answer that kind of questions will be the legacy of yourself. And if you do, if you act, if you speak out, if you disobey, if you don't follow the flow, it's very likely that the price will be very high. It could be that you will become unemployed, that your reputation could be very damaged, that your relations could be destroyed. In extremely cases, probably, even your life could be at risk. The price of critical thinking is pretty high. But if you don't act, if you don't obey sometimes, if you question the status quo, if you do what you think and you know that it's correct, probably that will be the only way to change the world for better. Because the point is not to say America first, or China first, or Mexico first, or this group of people first. The point is to think about the whole humanity in every corner of our life. Not to make them first, but to make society, humanity, better off with prosperity and in an inclusive way. And that's exactly what I can share with you today. Because that's the Jewish values that I was raised with. That's what makes me Jew. That's the education that I received. That's the tradition that I believe. It doesn't matter how it is called or where it comes from. I thank it to my education in that sense, because we are concerned. We're concerned, and we should keep being concerned for the good of humanity. So when you face that question, that difficult question, think many times about it, because you are the only ones by yourselves to have an answer. Thank you very much.